There's a moment where you stop trying and quietly realize it's already over. Nothing happened, and that's exactly when you realized it was over. Not a fight, not a goodbye, not even a clear reason, just a feeling. A quiet shift you couldn't explain, but you felt it anyway. In the way they stopped looking at you the same, in the way conversations became shorter, colder, forced, in the way silence started to feel heavier than words. And at first, you tried to ignore it. You told yourself it was just a phase, that people get tired, that relationships go through moments like this. So you stayed. You kept showing up. You kept talking. You kept trying to bring things back to what they used to be. Because you remembered how it felt before, when things were easy, when attention was natural, when you didn't have to question where you stood. And that memory, it kept you there longer than it should have. That's the part no one warns you about, how you don't stay because things are good. You stay because they used to be. So you hold on to the way they used to text you, to the way they used to care, to the version of them that made you feel chosen, even when that version is no longer there. And slowly, you start to feel something you can't ignore anymore. Distance, not physical distance, but emotional distance, the kind that shows up in small ways. They stop asking how your day was. They take longer to reply. They seem distracted, even when you're right there. And you notice it. Of course you do. But instead of trusting that feeling, you question yourself. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Maybe they're just going through something. Because accepting what you feel, it means facing something you're not ready for yet. That something has changed. So you stay in between. Not fully happy, but not ready to walk away. Still hoping. Still trying. Still holding on to something that feels like it's slipping, but not completely gone. And that's what makes it confusing. Because it's not clearly broken. It's just different. Less effort. Less presence. Less of everything that once made it feel real. And that kind of change, it doesn't come with an explanation. It just happens. Quietly. Until one day, you sit there, in the middle of a normal moment, and feel something you can't ignore anymore. That this isn't what it used to be. That something is missing. That something isn't coming back. And even though no one said it out loud, you understand it. Because sometimes, it doesn't take a goodbye to know it's over. It just takes a moment, where everything feels different, and you finally stop pretending it doesn't. And once that feeling starts to settle in, you begin to notice something else. It didn't break all at once. It faded. And that's what makes it so hard to accept. Because nothing actually broke. There wasn't a moment you could point to and say, that's when it ended. No fight, no final conversation, no clear goodbye, just less talking, less effort, less presence. And at first, it feels small, almost unnoticeable. A shorter reply here, a delayed message there, a conversation that ends a little too quickly. Things you can easily explain away. They're just busy. They didn't see the message. They're probably tired. So you don't react. You don't question it. You don't confront it. Because it doesn't feel big enough to matter, but it keeps happening. Again, and again, and again, and slowly. What felt like small moments start turning into a pattern. You begin to notice how conversations don't flow the same way. How they don't ask about your day anymore. How their attention feels divided or absent. And even when they're there, they're not really there. You can feel it. In the pauses. In the lack of depth. In the way everything starts to feel surface level. And that's where the shift happens. Not in something dramatic, but in something quiet. You go from feeling connected to feeling like you're talking at them, instead of with them. And that changes everything, because connection isn't just about being present physically. It's about energy, attention, interest. And when those things start to fade, you feel it immediately. Even if you don't want to admit it, you start holding on to conversations longer than they do, trying to keep things going while they slowly pull back. You ask questions. They give short answers. You open up. They stay distant. You try to bring life into something that's quietly losing it. And at some point, you begin to feel something new. Not confusion, not even sadness yet, but a kind of emptiness, like something that used to be full is now just there, still existing, but without meaning. And that's the dangerous part, because it doesn't force you to react, it doesn't push you to make a decision, it just keeps you there, in something that's no longer what it was, but hasn't clearly ended either. So you stay, you adjust, you lower your expectations, you accept less, without even realizing it, because you're trying to preserve something that is already fading. And the more it fades, the more you start questioning yourself. Am I expecting too much? Am I reading this wrong? Is it really that different? Because deep down, you don't want the answer to be yes. You don't want to admit that something real is slowly disappearing. But your emotions don't lie. You feel the distance, you feel the silence, you feel the lack of effort, even when nothing has been said. And that's what makes it so confusing. Because everything still looks the same on the outside. You still talk. You still see each other. You're still technically together. But inside, something has already changed. Something important. Something you can't quite define, but you know is missing. And the hardest part? There's no moment where it clearly ends. Just a series of small moments that slowly take it apart. It didn't end in one moment. It disappeared in small ones. And once you start to see those moments, you can't unsee them. Because now, you're not just feeling the distance. You're noticing it. In everything. And the more you notice, the harder it becomes to ignore what's happening next. Because fading doesn't stay hidden forever. At some point, it turns into something you can no longer deny. Something that makes you feel, even when you're not alone, like you are. And that's when it starts to feel different. Not just distant, but empty. Because even when they're right there, something is missing. You sit next to them, but there's no real connection. You talk, but it feels like you're just filling silence. You share space, but not presence. And that kind of loneliness is harder to explain. Because from the outside, everything still looks normal. You're still together, still talking, still existing in the same space. But inside, it feels like you're alone. And you notice it in the smallest moments. The way they stop reacting to things that matter to you. The way they seem distracted when you're speaking. The way their attention drifts, even when you're trying to connect. And you feel it. That quiet disconnect. You start choosing your words more carefully, trying not to say too much or too little, trying to find something, anything, that brings back the feeling you once had. But it doesn't come back, because connection isn't something you can force. It's something you feel, and when it's gone, you can't recreate it alone. So you sit there, next to someone who used to make you feel seen and now barely notices. You laugh less, you open up less, you start holding things in because it doesn't feel the same anymore. And slowly, you begin to pull back too. Not because you want to, but because it hurts to keep reaching and feel nothing in return. And that's when the loneliness becomes real. Not when you're physically alone, but when you're emotionally disconnected from someone who's still there. You weren't alone, but you felt like you were. And that feeling, it doesn't come from one moment. It builds. From every missed opportunity to connect. From every conversation that doesn't go anywhere. from every time you feel like you're the only one trying to keep something alive. Until eventually, you stop expecting it. You stop waiting for things to feel normal again. You stop believing that one conversation, one moment, will fix everything. Because deep down, you already know something has changed. Something that isn't coming back the same way. And even though you haven't said it out loud, even though nothing has officially ended, you can feel it. That quiet truth, that what you once had is no longer there. And still, you don't walk away, because part of you is still holding on, still hoping, still trying to believe that if you just give it a little more time, it might come back. But hope, in moments like this, can be dangerous, because while you're holding on to what it used to be, you don't realize how much you're already losing yourself trying to keep it from ending. And that's where you start to push harder, not because you don't see what's happening, but because you're not ready to let it go. So you try. You initiate more conversations. You ask more questions. You put in more effort, hoping something shifts, hoping something clicks, hoping they come back to the way they used to be. But the more you try, the more you start to feel it, that you're the only one trying to keep it alive. You're the one reaching out, the one checking in, the one holding the weight of something that used to be shared. And that's exhausting, because love, connection, effort isn't supposed to feel one-sided. It's not supposed to feel like something you have to chase, but that's what it becomes. You start chasing moments, chasing attention, chasing the feeling you once had, but can't seem to get back. And in that process, you begin to ignore something important: yourself. You stop asking how you feel. You stop questioning what you deserve. You stop noticing how much you're giving without receiving the same in return, because your focus is somewhere else. On fixing it, on saving it, on not losing it. So you make adjustments. You become more patient than usual, more understanding than necessary, more available than you should be. You lower your expectations just to avoid disappointment. And little by little, you start accepting things you once said you never would. Long silences, half-hearted replies, lack of effort, all in the name of keeping something from ending. But here's the truth most people don't want to face. You can't hold on to something that the other person has already let go of. And deep down, you feel that too. You feel it every time you try, and nothing changes. Every time you reach out and don't feel met. Every time you give, and it feels like it disappears into nothing. And still, you keep going. Because letting go feels harder. Because walking away means accepting something final. Something real. That what you had is no longer there. So instead, you stay in the middle. Not fulfilled, but not ready to leave. Holding on to something that feels like it's slipping away, but not completely gone. And that's what makes it so difficult, because it's not clearly over, but it's not alive anymore either. So you keep fighting. For conversations that don't go anywhere. For attention that feels forced. For moments that don't feel the same. You were fighting for something they already let go of. And once that realization starts to settle in, something inside you begins to change. Not loudly, not dramatically, but enough. Enough to make you pause, enough to make you question why you're still holding on to something that isn't holding on to you anymore. Because at some point, it stops being about them and starts becoming about you. About what you're willing to accept, what you're willing to keep chasing, what you're afraid to let go of. And that's where the truth begins to get clearer. Not in what they did, but in what you're finally starting to see. Because the moment you stop trying to force it is the moment you start to feel something else. Something quiet, but undeniable. That maybe it's already over. And that's when it finally settles in. Not as a shock, not as a dramatic ending, but as a quiet understanding you can't push away anymore. You stop trying to fix it. You stop replaying conversations. You stop searching for signs that things might go back. Because now, you see it. Clearly. It's not that something might be wrong. It's that something is already gone. And for the first time, you're not trying to change that. You're accepting it. You start looking back, but differently. Not with hope, not with denial, but with clarity. You remember the moments where things felt off, the times you questioned it, the silence that didn't feel right. And now, it all makes sense. Not because something new happened, but because you're finally seeing what was already there. That slow distance, that fading connection, that feeling you kept pushing aside. It wasn't temporary, it wasn't just a phase, it was the beginning of the end. And the truth is, you knew. Maybe not fully, maybe not consciously, but you felt it. In the way things changed, in the way you started feeling unsure, in the way you had to try harder, just to feel something. And now, you don't need more proof, because the feeling itself is enough. That quiet emptiness, that lack of connection, that absence of effort, it tells you everything you need to know. And instead of resisting it and you sit with it, you let it be real. And that's where something shifts. Because for so long, you were trying to hold on to something that was slipping away. Now, you're letting it go. Not out of anger, not out of frustration, but out of understanding. Because at some point, you realize something important. You can't rebuild something alone. You can't carry something that requires two people by yourself. And you can't stay in something that no longer exists the way it used to. And that realization, it changes the way you feel. Not immediately. It still hurts. But it's a different kind of pain. A clearer one. A more honest one. Because now, you're no longer confused. You're no longer waiting. You're no longer hoping for something that isn't coming back. You're seeing it for what it is. And that clarity, it doesn't just show you what ended. It shows you what you were holding on to, and more importantly, what you're ready to release. Because sometimes the relationship doesn't end when they leave. It ends the moment you finally understand they're already gone. And once you reach that point, there's nothing left to question, nothing left to fix, nothing left to hold on to. Just one quiet truth that changes everything. It's over. And maybe that's the part no one prepares you for. Not the ending itself, but the moment you finally accept it. Because for so long, you were holding on to what it used to be, to what you thought it still could be, to a version of something that no longer existed, but now you see it. Not through hope, but through clarity. And clarity doesn't come to comfort you. It comes to free you. Because once you truly understand that it's already over, you stop trying to fix what's gone. You stop waiting for something to come back. You stop losing yourself, trying to hold on to something that already let go. And you start doing something different. You start choosing yourself. Not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of truth. Because the hardest thing isn't letting go of someone. It's letting go of the version of them you kept alive in your mind. And once you do that, you don't just move on, you finally move forward. So if this felt real to you, if at some point you recognize that moment, comment the word over. Not as pain, but as acceptance. And if this helped you see something you needed to see, leave a like and subscribe. Because sometimes, the quietest realizations are the ones that change your life the most.